Welcome to the Results Method podcast, where real people achieve real results in the real world. Hosted by accredited sports nutritionist, contest prep coach, and three-time fitness world champion and coach, Alicia Kyrgios, alongside co-host and FMG pro athlete, Sarah Priestley. This podcast is your all-access pass to sustainable transformation. We go beyond quick fixes and one-size-fits-all plans. We break down the principles, structure, and strategies that actually create results. This is the Results Method.
And welcome back to the Results Method. And today we wanted to do something a little bit different. So we've basically gone a rapid fire Claude prompted session where we're like, Claude, give us things that, people might want to know. Give us some rapid fire questions, off the cuff. Looked at both of us and it came up with some pretty decent ones. So we're like, cool, let's just roll with this.
I'm nervous.
We've not pre-planned any answers. So if we fumble our way through it, you know that it's legitimately just on the cuff. But segment 1, it says, getting to know you. Okay, Sarah, what's a belief about training or nutrition that you held strongly 5 years ago that you have now completely changed your mind on?
5 years ago, probably that you've got to do more to get results. I think now I do a lot less, but much more intentionally than I was previously. I have a lot more rest, a lot more recovery than I did previously. 5 years ago, I think I was even running and doing cardio as well as trying to learn what to do in the gym. What about you?
That's actually a great one. I would say I somewhat, feel the same way, somewhat. Mine has been way more intentional about multi-plane movement and functional movement patterns whilst getting stronger. Because 5 years ago, it was just about get fuck off strong, get jacked, get large and in charge. Whereas now I'm like, no, I think I need to be having my cross sling, working properly, my rib cage and my pelvis in the right position, that I can do full rotational movements, that I can mimic complete functional patterns inside of the family home when I'm throwing around toddlers, that I can do all these things strong and without any potential risk to injury. So I would say 5 years ago, I just had no respect for, the fact that moving in a certain singular plane only was really limiting what I could do in a functional capacity. And now I have a much deeper level of respect and understanding of, the necessity for that. So I would say it's changed the way I approach my training in that regard. Nutrition, I am probably the most intuitive that I have been in my entire adult life right now, and it feels great. I think I've always had a really good relationship with food, so that's never been a problem. But I just don't have the hyper focus on being to the gram like I probably had when I was deep in my, athlete stage.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the biggest things that have changed.
That's a good one.
I wouldn't say that I've changed my mind on any one thing because, as I said, I didn't have a bad relationship with food. I never demonized food. I've never excluded groups. So I wouldn't say I've got a change on it. Maybe just that I might not worry so much about perfectly distributed boluses of protein, right? If some days I'm just hitting my 3 main meals and I'm getting my totals, that's good for me, right? So maybe that, but outside of that I'm still pretty boring and doing the same shit.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of leads into the next one as well, which is, what does a normal day of eating look like for you right now?
Yeah, look, because it's crazy with the kids and, I'm working sort of 7 to 7 most days at the moment. That's temporary, but it's at the moment. I would say it's 3 main meals and a snack most absolutely. Are my timings consistent as much as I would like? No, because sometimes I've got a baby that needs to be thrown on a boob in the middle of a Google Meet where I've got to turn my video off, and then I'll have my assistant book 3 things back to back that literally go to the wire, and I'm jumping onto the next thing and I need a handover document to move into it. And then I'm trying to just eat and inhale things in between things where I don't have to have a video on. It's just chaos. So Hey, that's just the phase and chapter of my life at the moment. I think, as I said, it's temporary, but it means that there's no normal day. That's the long-winded way of saying it's chaos. I've got on my coffee cup at the moment, coffee and chaos. Sarah got me this. And that is so legitimately perfect to summarize my life.
Yeah, I thought that would be
It
perfect.
is the phase of life. What about yours? Normal day? You're way more
normal
consistent
day.
night
Yeah, I
day.
mean, I pretty much eat the same thing most days, and obviously just coming out of a show. But yesterday, for example, I had my pre-workout oats. Post-workout, did something a bit different. Had protein pancakes, which were delicious with
yum.
blueberries. Then I had a yogurt bowl with fruit. Lunch, I just had chicken, potato, and veg. And then dinner, I had beef, low-fat beef mince, rice, avocado, and veg. And then dessert, I had a Ninja Creamy.
Nice.
Yeah. But I made a really good, like, fresh melon Ninja Creamy. So
Beautiful.
it's pretty much similar meals every day, but sometimes I swap out little fun things like the pancakes.
I love that. Well, I actually made protein pancakes for the kids this morning. So
Yum.
love me a good pancake. Okay, what is, or outside of fitness, what is something you're genuinely good at that most people don't know about?
Ooh.
This is a good one. This is actually rough. Like there's probably quite a few things. I can think of like 5 things for you straight away.
Maybe we should do each other. I would say probably just like random projects. Like we've done lots of like renovations and like camper van builds and all this like just random projects where we're kind of upscaling
So
things.
my thing for you would have been project management, horse riding, more recently golf. You're actually very good at it. Even old mate, the coach that you had one-on-one was wanting to keep you in the sport. I would say like impulsive events. You're actually really great at being like, cool, we're just going to go do that. And now we're just going to go do that. And for whatever reason, every time you choose a new path, you excel at it, which is super annoying for anyone that's trialing things and sucking. But yeah, you've got some really good ones there. For me, this is a bit of a tougher one because like my realms at the moment sit between business and kids. Outside of fitness, probably something that people won't know is that I speed read. So I can devour an entire Stephen King novel, and I'll talk about Stephen King because anyone that knows his work, his novels are huge. They're big, thick books. I can get through an entire one in 2 to 3 nights.
Wow.
Pre-bed reading if I speed read, if I apply my speed reading. But that's actually a skill that my mum put me through that when I was in primary school to learn. And it was one of the best gifts she ever gave me as a parent. And I hated it at the time going through it. I remember being like, oh my God, this is like summer school. But I'm really glad she did it because I can, and it served me so well all the way through uni. It served me really well in corporate. And look, it's probably why I can do so much now too. So anyway, that's there you go. Fun fact, I speed read.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one thing that you're good at that anyone that's met you in real life probably knows is just juggling a million things at once, but like excelling at every single one of them.
Oh God, I don't know. Some days I'm like, shit, don't fall. But we get there. We get there. Okay, so what's a question you get asked constantly that you're tired of answering in a good way? Think about this from a social point of view. This will be a good one. Think about this for you, social media.
Oh, in terms of social media, I think probably just like people thinking they have to post like a million times a day or every single day.
Yeah.
People thinking they have to do so much more than they need to, where they could just do 3 or 4 really good posts a week and, you know, absolutely blow up if they have the right strategy behind it.
I reckon mine would be carbs make me bloated. Carbs make me I can't digest them. Like, you know, just everything to do with carbs. Carbs as a whole, bread, let's throw that in there, like all of the carbs, all of the things. And it's the constant reframing and education, especially of a specific demographic, like women over 35, where carbs and fats were demonized for so freaking long that educating them that 140 grams of carbs is actually low carb. That's not actually high carb. And people are freaking out about having 140. I'm like, wow. So yeah, carbs, carbs in general, carbs are not the demon, they're not the devil, and they definitely aren't the reason that, they don't make you bloated like you think.
Yeah, we love carbs.
Carbs are good, bread's God.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right. Well, the question, Sarah, what's something that Ali does that you didn't expect from a coach when you first started? That's a good one.
Ooh, that is a good one. I think probably some of the mindset side of stuff that you do, like how you have such a different approach with different athletes. And I think I've noticed it from, seeing some of the conversations that you have with different athletes or different lifestyle clients versus the conversations that you have with me. Like you approach everyone so differently based on how our mind works and what we've got going on in our life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, what's been cool for you is you've been behind the scenes with me when you weren't on stage witnessing it. Then you've been behind the scenes with other athletes that are all pro level athletes and high level, like multi-time champions, some of these girls, and they all have very different nuanced areas that I have to really be mindful of or manage. And so it's been probably very interesting for you. I hadn't even thought about that. What an interesting thing to talk about. What I think that highlights, though, is the difference between someone who genuinely coaches and then someone who doesn't.
Yeah.
Because if someone is genuinely coaching and it is not cookie cutter or freaking made up, it should look like that. It should be bespoke. It should be personalized. It should be individualized. It should be tailored. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that you highlighted that.
What's something about my mindset that made you adjust how you coach me specifically?
Look, what I love about you was it was very easy because with every initial client, education is always key. And then ongoing education is always at the forefront for everything that you do in the coaching relationship, because without understanding why something is being done, how can you ask someone to do it, right? Like, and how likely is it that they're going to step into and execute the process as well? Very minimal, right? So I've always had that education first approach. But with you, what I loved was you were so green and so new, but such a sponge and very much like lent into the education. And then what was great was you were very good very early on at being very much questions and learning and evolving from it. And then every time we would have a situation where there was an opportunity for feedback, you would seek it out, not just take it on board, but seek it out. So it meant that, and this is where you just touched on it, the conversations I have with you look the way they do because you look the way you do. So I can have these conversations with you that might feel like for other people feedback early, but it's actually just you and I being very in tune and collaborative on where we are going in your journey in a way that allows you to always be chasing. Then you're a constant work in progress and you lean into that. So I've been able to approach you like I would myself, which is really cool because I can tell you right now, and I apologize to all of my athletes listening, but there's been maybe, I can count them in two hands with fingers left over, athletes in my entire time doing this, which has been almost 2 decades, that have been like that. So there's not many that I can talk to and approach the way I would approach prep and development, and which is always cool for me because when I get you guys, it's like, cool, these are my champions that will be champions for a long time coming because of the way their brain works and the way their mindset works. So yeah, long-winded way of saying, you are one of my favorites because I love how your brain works. And it makes the conversations we have really easy because I can converse with you how I would dialogue it with myself.
Yeah, and it's very, like, one of my favorite things to do is just pick your brain about random things that you program for me or tell me or something that I saw pop up, and you always have such an educated view on it, which is, very cool to learn.
It's great because I don't have to hold back and I don't have to worry about your feelings when we can be data-driven sometimes, which is cool. It's really cool.
And how do you know when a client needs a push versus when they need support and a break?
Man, this is a tough one. In all honesty, as you mentioned, I get very good very early. And my first period with an athlete is to get to know them and get to know, how hate to say it, but triggers and what's like where they might crumble in certain circumstances, because then I know how to build resilience over time in specific spaces, and it'll depend where those gaps sit. Then that will inform how far or when I can push, or when I need to, when it is a building phase of resilience. If they've already got the resilience, then they're not going to cop much, they're going to get pushed. They're not going to get a, oh yeah, we can pull back. They're going to get a, no, shut up. This is what it's going to look like. Like, you are leaving gains on the table and you know it. Don't talk smack to me. You know it. It'll be that conversation versus, okay, cool. Let's regroup. Let's look at this. How can we actually move through this phase? Because there will be periods in all athletes' journey where they need to build in certain areas, and that's not always physical. That is sometimes emotional or mental, psychological. So knowing where they sit in those spaces helps inform me when they need the push or a little slap, a gentle slap, or they actually need to be built up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've definitely had both of those from you.
Yeah, you have.
Can testament to that.
The best athletes have, and you'll know that I see big things in you when you get the gentle slap, because it's because I see big things in you, and you're not serving yourself in that moment, right?
Yeah.
And if I didn't think you had potential in that moment to progress, I wouldn't give you the push.
Yeah.
But when I give you the push, it's because I know you've got the capacity, you've got the capability, you're just shortchanging yourself. Don't be stupid. Get in there and do the thing.
Yeah.
That's a different conversation. But one thing you notice is it's always honesty.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what you need, not what you want to hear, right? There's a difference.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So, Sarah, what's something you've learned about yourself through working with me that might have surprised you?
Ooh, that's a good
question.
I would probably say, like, how much I can actually achieve in a long period of time through just having some patience and delayed gratification. I think I used to look so short term, and I was like, oh, I could never achieve what this person is doing, or I could never achieve this big goal. Like, I wasn't even setting those big goals for myself because I just didn't think it was possible. So I think just like having that bigger picture of things where you're like, okay, like, we're going to shoot for this, but we're going to take these steps to get there.
Yeah. And I've seen that in you. I've also seen massive shifts in what you have lent into professionally too over the time frame that we've been together, which has been great. It's been awesome to witness. So that's really cool. I love that. This is a cool question for you. So the one that it's given you to ask me.
Oh, yes. What's the biggest shift you see in clients once they stop chasing perfection?
This is a great one, because this is what 90% of the population turn up with, right? Initially, is it's the all or nothing mentality, and it's perfection, which then means that they're setting themselves up for failure, because inevitably they can't reach perfection. It's an illusion. It is absolutely unattainable. So it is ridiculous to strive for that. There is, though, the ability to strive for consistency in a process that serves you, where you get compounding interest on the levels of consistency you apply every day. It doesn't need to look perfect. It just needs to be consistent, because in the consistent moments, discipline is built. And when motivation wanes or perfect circumstances don't align, discipline carries you through. So what do I see from the people that stop chasing perfection? I see progression, and I see champion wins. That's pretty much how my champions become champions. They let go of the all or nothing. They lean into building the routines and the infrastructure and the consistency, and then the discipline. And then from that, greatness follows. There is no greatness to be found chasing the rainbow. Like, you're not a leprechaun, and perfection is basically a leprechaun chasing treasure at the end of a rainbow. It doesn't exist. So stop doing it, because the minute you stop doing it, the more you lean into understanding the small key variables that will actually build up and get great momentum over time.
Goosebumps. That's so well said.
That was off the cuff too, but that is genuinely what I see, and I see it so often. So, I see this being the difference between someone who has the potential to go pro, but then also more importantly, my pros that have the potential to be longevity in the sport with championships under their belts.
Yeah.
And there's no coincidence that we build those people, because we build them through dissolving this crap early.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I was considering Ali as a coach, but that's what I would be going through and I'm not willing to do it, then there's your answer. I'm probably not the coach for you. But if you want to, then knock on my door.
Yes. More of a lifestyle question, but what does sustainable actually look like day to day for someone with a normal job and life?
It's actually about having, someone understand. Firstly, if you've got a coach you're working with, they need to understand your shit. There's no point going and working with a male coach and you're a single mother with 3 kids and you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't personally believe that they can truly understand what it is you're dealing with if they haven't walked in those shoes. So I personally wouldn't be working with that set of circumstances. So I think, it's got to be where it is sustainable and feasible because it doesn't override your life or overwhelm you, but instead it supports and sits in and around your life circumstances, right? So don't try to fit 5 hours at the gym in if you are running, school drop-offs, pick-offs and a 9 to 3, and then you're managing a busy home, or you are a single mother working potentially 2 jobs. Like, you've got to go, cool, where am I at? What is my fulfillment hours that I have capable of working with in and around the things that are, non-negotiable for me, like jobs and kids and partners and all those things. And then how do you program in and around that so that then we build something that is a lifestyle? So it has to fit in. It can't completely overwhelm. There is still going to be sacrifice depending upon what your goal is. But if we're talking about a general population person, then it doesn't need to be, restrictive to the point of someone prepping, and it shouldn't be. It's going to be about what suits and fits in for you. But again, as I said, if you're working with someone, and they just don't understand your variables, I would be saying just find someone that does. There is a million coaches out there, right? And I always talk about this. I never feel threatened by that ever, because there is the right coach for, the right person. And so we need to have lots of options out there, because your variables need to be met by someone else that has an understanding of those variables. That's what I believe anyway. That's personal opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you handle social events, holidays, or off-plan days without spiraling, Sarah?
I would say that depends what phase I'm in. Like, if I'm in prep, I'm just bring my meal prep. It's that simple.
Yep. Tunnel vision.
If I'm not, so for the most part of the year, I think it's going into it with a bit of a plan and understanding what my goal is at the time. Like, if my goal isn't fat loss at the time, then probably I'm just going to go enjoy myself, try and prioritize like some protein for sure, not turn up to events when I'm absolutely starving. So, eat before I go if I need to, stay hydrated and just kind of mindfully enjoy food and like not overthink it. If I haven't got a fat loss goal at the time, then I'm just going to have fun and enjoy myself.
In other words, what she's referencing is what we were discussing earlier, which is next Saturday, we're going for banh mi.
Yep.
Very excited. Oh my God, I'm always excited for a banh mi. Okay, I love that answer. I think that's perfect. And that's exactly how most people should be approaching those scenarios, right?
Yeah.
You can ask the next one.
How much does training and nutrition change for you depending on how busy or stressed life gets?
I have a pretty firm belief that you should always prioritize yourself. So even with kids and all of the things and all of the balls that I'm juggling, I don't lose sight of me. And I think that's super important. And I find that how can I ask also other people to prioritize themselves if I don't prioritize myself? I always have that in the back of my mind. But then, secondary to that, I think to myself, how do I want my kids to turn up as adults? And I want to model the right behaviors for them. And that is this: I am never not important. No matter what is going on, I am never not important. I want them to be the principal in their own play for the rest of their lives. No matter what is going on with a partner or a job or kids, they are always the most important part, because them being fulfilled, satisfied, healthy, good fitness, good health on track, everyone else around them gets a full cup. So they can pour from a full cup. They can give their best self. They can engage in the best way. So I feel that way about myself and my role in their lives. I also know that I am the role model they're going to look to, and they're going to absolutely, between Christos and I, model our behaviors. So we've had many conversations about this, and we are very much that we are going to show by example. We're going to live the life we want them to live themselves, if not better. We want them to be better than us. Let's be real. And then we never want to get into the trap where we're showing them that, yeah, we work crazy, right? We juggle all these balls, and the kids see that. But at no point do we miss time with them. Do we miss time on ourselves, or do we become lazy or, mistreat ourselves? Never. We don't. We also don't ever have negative conversations about ourselves, food, or the way we look. Never. I said that to Christos early in our relationship. You will never do these three things. And it means a lot to me that you don't. I was raised with a sister who's 10 years older than me that had a major eating disorder. And some of the earliest childhood memories of mine are in a hospital, and she's 10 years older than me. I was a toddler. I was probably George's age, and her leg was probably skinnier than my leg.
Wow.
So I don't have a bad relationship with food because I've seen what it does.
Mm.
I also know what imprint you can leave on kids, and I refuse to do that to ours. So to answer your question in a very long-winded way, how does it change depending upon how busy I get? It's still diarized. It is still a non-negotiable, and it still happens, but the frequency might just scale back a bit. So am I in the gym for hours? No. Do I make it at least 3 times a week? Yes. That is my non-negotiable minimum benchmark, at least 3 times a week. Do I walk the dogs every day? I try to most days, unless the weather doesn't permit it. And I think that's a healthy habit to show kids, to be outside walking, that movement is the blueprint and should just be part of an average day. It's not considered actual exercise. That is just what you do every day. And then I think outside of that, having some form of like hobby or focus, like my sprint triathlon, I think that's really healthy. And I think it shows your kids that, again, mum and dad haven't lost their identity in the midst of the chaos, right?
Yeah, that's powerful.
But anyway, again, long-winded end. That's just what comes to my head.
Yeah, I love that. And what's one habit that's made the biggest difference to your own consistency?
I think probably that fact that you diarize it, it's a non-negotiable. It happens,
Yeah.
and you become a priority. I think that gives you consistency even in the days. Having a big why, right? Like where it's about the way your kids are going to show up as an adult. It's not what they see today. It's what they see today that compounds with interest over the next couple of decades that makes them turn up as adults, where they're going to serve your grandkids well. Like that's my focus. That's a big focus, right? And it's about something so much bigger than, I don't give a shit what I look like, guys. Like I really don't.
Yeah.
So it's not about how I look. It's about how I feel, how I age, and how I actually role model things for my kids. So that big why, that's what gives me consistency.
Yeah, I love that. I think for me, like consistency, or something that helps me the most with consistency, depending on what it is like my environment. Like for example, if I want to drink more water, I'm going to bring my big water bottle with me. Or like, if I'm trying to, eat more of a certain food, I'll make sure I have that food prepped readily available in the fridge. Or if I'm trying to sleep better, it's like moving my phone out of my room. So it's just, setting up the environment for those habits consistently.
Oh, this is good. What's a part of the fitness industry that frustrates you? And you see a lot of it from a very different lens to me, like because you don't do and you're not involved in the industry in any way that is any kind of coaching, which I love about you. I love it. It's so beautifully refreshing.
Yeah.
I have an athlete that's competed that doesn't want to become a coach. It's so lovely. Like I love it.
I would probably say like people not sharing everything that goes into a journey, like they just share the prep or they just
highlight
share the
reels.
phase. It's just highlight reels. And then like, people are so shocked when I share parts of my journey that are messier or like not the shredded photos. Like I'm sharing that messy off season. And you know, it really helps people because they see that's actually normal.
You know, though, you always look thick and delicious. You never look sloppy. I love your off-season shape. Actually, sometimes even more than your actual on-season. And I think,
Yeah.
you know, leaning into and showing that and embracing it and loving it. And, you know, like I openly love on it and tell people about it. It's like, it's good because it lets people have confidence to sit in it themselves, right?
Yeah. It annoys me when, you know, people are like feeling bad about themselves or they feel like they've gone completely off the rails because they've put on a few kilos of body fat and they're not stage lean year round, where like that's the normal.
Yeah, and that is not the normal people. And don't try to normalize it because that is where disordered eating patterns and negative relationships and dysmorphia comes from, right? So please be part of the solution, not the problem. Share the shit, share the messy middle for the love of God. What frustrates me about the industry, I really hate at the moment, the monetization of perimenopausal women. I want to slap people for putting out their content that is fear-mongering, not steeped in research or evidence at all, and that literally preys on women when they're in the most vulnerable moment. That's my biggest ick at the moment. If I could give you something that frustrates me the most at the moment, it is that.
I have to say that's something I've seen a lot with, like, obviously the research I do
Even
for people's
male
social
coaches
medias.
getting out there and talking to it. And I'm like,
There's a few at the moment.
like you're not even talking to the actual research. You're just preying on them. And you're selling really like really crappy, you know, strategies and messages. And these women aren't broken. And, you know, the research shows that there is no reduction in their metabolic rate at all. There are levers that need to be supported. And none of those things are what are being talked about. It just, anyway, I could go on a rant about this for hours, but that is my biggest thing at the moment. I'm like, stop it.
What's something that you do that contradicts the perfect coach image that people might expect?
Far out. I don't know. I swear a lot.
I feel like you just tell the truth.
I do. And I like, and what you see is what you get. Like there's no hidden anything, right? So I will be in your corner and I will be your biggest ally. I will be the first person you can call when anything goes wrong, but I will not let you get in your own way and I will not let you be enabled to sit in your shit. So I will absolutely hold you to your true potential. And that will sometimes be with a loving, guiding hand. And other times I will be telling you to put the crack pipe down and there will be serious conversations. But at all points in time, I will try to make it fun. You will always feel supported. And yeah, I do cuss a lot. It's probably, you know, like from if you're looking at this professional level, I am the ultimate professional in the way that I will support you, but I will absolutely swear and I'll use slang. And if you're an international client, you'll oftentimes have to Google what I've just said to work out what that meant. Like I had a client once tell me, you know, when I was like, oh, we'll just do it in a fortnight. And she was like, what the fuck is a fortnight? She had to Google it to find out that was every 2 weeks because I just will say things and not even realize that, hey, that's an Aussie colloquialism. And, you know, my British, my European or my American clients have no idea what I mean by that.
Some of my favorites are like the messages that you'll send to clients immediately before a show when everyone's being crazy on peak week or just after the show. Like they're just so rogue, but so honest and exactly what people need to hear.
Actually, that is a thing I do, don't I? Like, you will get messages from me that will, sometimes they'll be voice notes, sometimes they'll be written. And oftentimes people will tell me they're exactly what they needed in the exact right moment. So, you know, I just do random shit is probably where it's at. You'll have very structured processes with me, but then I do these random things that are just because I'll be thinking of you in that moment, you know? So my athletes get thought about a lot. They take up a lot of rent and a lot of space in my head is what I will say. They go rent free, by the way, but they're thought about a lot. Okay, let me ask you a question. When's the moment you almost gave up on a goal?
Ooh, I can actually think of a specific one, which is with my first shows or my first preps that I was doing with you. It was during COVID. And I remember my show was cancelled for the second time. And I was like, that's it. Not going to do it. Giving up. and then jumped on a call with you, and within probably 2 minutes, you'd convinced me to go back into a build phase, build for the next stage. We'd mapped out a whole nother plan, but like in that moment, I was just going to give up on competing, and you completely talked me out of it. And here we are now.
And I'm glad that we did, because, oh my God, if we hadn't have done that, we wouldn't have had that cascading effect from, first show all the way through to where we are today. So I'm so glad that we did that. And also too, I think it's that, what we talked about earlier, that resilience building, right? So that moment where I can look at it and be like, okay, cool. The potential is here. The problem is this. Let's bridge the gap. And there is this resilience in this one area or this one space that we've got to build. And then I know once we create that and you go through that moment and build that confidence on the other side, that won't be a problem we face again. And then that confidence just starts to take momentum. And it's like, the rock that rolls down the hill gathering moss really quickly. That's exactly what we see.
Yeah.
We saw it in you. We see it quite often in all of the clients when they have a scenario like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah. What's one piece of advice you'd give someone completely unrelated to training or diet that's helped you in life?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. This is a good one. There's a couple of moments in my life that probably really stand out for me as catalysts for who and what I became, right? And one of my biggest moments, probably got two really profound moments. And one was very early, where I had this mentor who was an amazing guy. He was actually an ex-CIA agent. He spoke 5 languages. He had 7 degrees, and he was a massive imprint person for me when I was going through university. There was a moment with him where he said, no matter what, in any given room, even when you have your biggest doubt, if you can look around you and always think to yourself, if they can do it, so can I. He goes, there will never be a moment you can't walk through. And I'm like, that is so true. So in any room I've ever been in, and he always talked about, be the hardest worker, apply yourself with the most ethic and the most, work ethic and the highest level of, work in progress type feelings. He goes, because if you come at anything with that, he goes, there won't be a single person in the room that can outwork you, that can get a better result. So no matter whatever room you stand in, if someone in that room can do it, you can also do it and potentially do it better. And after that moment, I really did apply that in every single scenario I came across. And I think, from every point of view, from work to studies to sport to everything, and it's always served me, is that I've never walked into a space and gone, if someone is excelling, there was never comparison or envy. There was always a, cool, if they can do it, so can I. Where's my gap? What can I do? How can I get there? What have I got to do? What behaviors do I need to model or be better at? That's how I approached everything. So I never compared with a point that it was like, I can't do that. I'd always look sideways and be like, if they can do it, so can I. And so that's probably the first point of, catalyst for me. And then the second point was, I worked with a Tibetan Buddhist monk in a personal setting for 2 years every week. And one of the biggest things that he took me through was, the past doesn't dictate the future. So at no point in time is an identity to be defined by what has happened to you. Your identity is what you make it by how you approach what comes next. And so between those two powerful moments with two very special men in my life that could have been absolutely father figures to me, there were some really powerful trajectories for me moving forward. So one opened my eyes to the fact that there is never a point to compare against. There is only a point to know that if someone else can do it, so can you. And then how do you go about it? And then the second one was, it doesn't matter what's happened to you, and it doesn't matter anything about where you came from, what the past looked like. All that matters is how you step forward from this moment and how you choose to create a definition for yourself from this point forward. And you can completely rebirth yourself at any point in your life, and you can do it multiple times over. Like, how cool is that?
Very cool. So powerful.
Anyway, again, long-winded answer, but two pretty big catalyst moments. And I could unpack both of those and give really big detail, in a lot more detail on both those moments. But they were probably two of the most defining moments in my life. One happened at 21 and one happened at 25. And I think the person I am today is largely shaped by some pretty big moments with those two particular mentors in my life.
Yeah. I think we should do a whole episode on that.
I could write a book on the mentoring with my monk for sure. I could absolutely. There was some major changes and shifts in me as a person. And I do know that my coaching and my consultative style that I've taken from those elements in my life have been guided largely by the work I did back then. So there could be some really cool stuff in there.
For sure. And final question, what is a non-fitness goal you're working towards right now?
This is such a hard one because like I live at the moment, it's temporary and we've talked about this, but because of where I sit across both the education space and the coaching space, my own business and working in the professional body for the industry to make the industry better, I'm working a lot at the moment and it is temporary. I will scale back and things will look a little different. But for the next sort of, foreseeable future, it looks like that. So I squeeze in those non-negotiable things for myself, yes. But then outside of the fitness, what I'm working toward is just getting to a place where I have a whole day on a weekend where it's nothing but immersion with the kids. A whole day. Like where I am in do not disturb mode on WhatsApp and I am not replying to a single thing to do with a student, a member, or a client. And I am all in on the kids because at the moment I spend present moments with the kids nightly and on the weekends, yes, but there's not a single day where it's a whole day that's just the kids. And I'm moving towards that. That is my non-fitness goal at the moment because my kids are my most important thing in my life.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What's yours?
Ooh, I think probably just trying to find a good balance between like fitness, business, and travel. Like I finally got my business to a place where I can work from anywhere and travel. So just finding a good routine where I'm still kind of, achieving those fitness goals, achieving those business goals, but still like seeing the world and spending time with my husband and, doing all of those things alongside my other goals.
I love that. And I know it's important for you because at some point we're planning babies down the track and it's a down the track conversation. You're not in the immediate future, but still we know that's coming. So you want to do all of those things and have those moments and those experience and everything else prior to that happening. So I love that for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool. Well, that was pretty fun.
It was interesting.
And it was interesting. And it was, like I said, unscripted. So
That's
it was good to see what we could come up with. I'm hoping that everyone learned something
If
fun.
you found value,
and send us those questions in the comments
and
for
share
our
it with
next
someone who's
Q&A
ready to level up.
Yeah, and also too, if there was anything in here that we touched on where you're like, hey, I'd love a deep dive on that particular topic or conversation, please let us know because we could make a whole series of podcasts out of a lot of these, topic points. So please let us know if there's something that interested you. Otherwise, until next time, happy travels. And we're hoping that whatever it is you're working on in your fitness or health journey, that you're absolutely crushing it.